Hello, everyone. Before we start our lesson, let me first introduce myself. I am Miss Rosita Situburan. And now, let us acknowledge the presence of our Father in heaven to enlighten us and give us wisdom and knowledge to understand our lesson. So, may I ask Hiraya to lead the prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good morning, class. Before you take your seat, I want you to pick up pieces of paper under your chair. Make your column straight and have your chair properly aligned. Are you done? Thank you. You may now take your seat. May I ask you, class, how many are absent today? That's good to hear. I am glad that you are attending the class today. Let me read you first our classroom rules. First, sit properly. Second, raise your hands before you talk. Third, listen actively and attentively to the teacher. And lastly, respect each other. Today, we will be having a new lesson, but before that, let us have a recap on the topic that we have discussed last meeting. Who among you here remembered the topic that we have tackled last time? Anyone from the class who would like to share what he or she had learned about the topic last meeting? Yes, Shikina. Very good. Let's clap our hands for Shikina. So again, class, what is agriculture? Yes, Clark. Very good. Now, let's do the amazing clap for Clark. It seems that you have really understand our topic last meeting. And now, let's delve into another topic. But before that, let us all read our objectives. At the end of the session, the grade 11 students will be able to A. Enumerate the methods of weed control. B. Appreciate the importance of applying weed control. And last, C. Perform a creative presentation on applying simple and safety weed control. Let's now have our energizer. May I request everyone to please stand? Are you ready? Okay. So, with that, let us sing. Titled Head, Shoulder, Knees and Toe. Are you ready? Let's start.
Shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
Thank you, everyone. Can you take your seat? Today, we'll be having an activity. This activity is called Guess the Gibberish. Here are the mechanics. You will be divided into two. Row 1 and row 2 are group 1. Row 3 and row 4 are Group 2. To play, read the group of unrelated words and decipher them into real phrases before time runs out. For example, apple juice. Apple juice. It becomes apple juice. It helps to say it aloud. Let's start. What is this phrase? Burden, weeds. Burden, weeds. The correct answer is burning weeds. Another. What is this phrase? Cat, tin, the grace. Cat, tin, the grace. The correct answer is cutting the grass. And lastly, what is this phrase? Hand, tool, cut, air. Hand, tool, cut, air. The correct answer is hand tool cutter. Okay, class. Thank you for your participation. Let me ask you a question. Do you see weeds inside the classroom? I have rare weeds. And try to look outside the window. Do you see weeds? Yes, of course. And what shall we do to the weeds? Yes, Clark. What do you think is our lesson for today? Yes, Dennis. Yes, it is. It is all about weed control. But before we proceed, let us define first what is weed. Everyone, please read. It is a plants, whether wild or cultivated, which are growing in a place where they are not wanted. Thank you. So, weeds are plants that grow in unwanted places, competing with other plants for nutrients, sunlight, and, of course, space. They often have aggressive growth habits, making them difficult to control in gardens, lawns, and agricultural fields. We have three methods of controlling weeds. First, mechanical control. Second, biological control. And third, it is chemical control. Let's start with mechanical control. It is a process of cleaning the weeds through the use of machines. So, any physical activity using mechanical control can make the work faster and easier. This can include methods such as hand pulling, hoeing, mowing, or using special equipment like weed trimmers or cultivators to stop weeds from growing. Mechanical control is often effective for smaller infestations or in areas where chemical use is restricted or undesirable. So, class, what equipment do you use in your garden and why? Yes, Anna. Thank you. Another example of mechanical control is a grass cutter. By using a grass cutter or harrow machine, as what you can see on the picture, thus it is used as weed control to make the task easier and faster. Another weed control is biological control. Class, please read the definition. Biological control involves the introduction of natural enemies, insects, mites, grazing animals, and pathogens. Thank you. So it is all about the natural organisms used to kill the weeds. For example, insects and mites and many more. This method relies on introducing or encouraging the presence of organisms to feed on or otherwise harm the target weed species, helping to reduce their numbers over time. So question, can we consider goat and cows as biological control? And why? Yes, Andrew. Mhm. Thank you. Grazing animals are naturally enemy of the weeds. And the third weed control is a chemical control. Everyone, let's read the definition. Chemical control, it involves any technique that involves the application of a chemical like herbicides. Thank you. So it is all about synthetic materials used in killing weeds. Chemical control can be applied in various forms, including sprays, granules, pre-emergent treatments, and the work by disrupting essential plants processes such as photosynthesis or growth regulation. For example, using power or 2,4-D chemical to kill weeds. So class, do you notice your parents using chemical to kill weeds in your garden? Yes, Jessica. All right. Your parents uses power chemical to kill the weeds. Although chemical control is efficient, however, it is important to use herbicides responsibly to minimize environmental impact and potential harm to non-target plants and organisms. So what are those three methods of weed control? Yes, Clark. Yes, Anna. Yes, she can. All right, so I have prepared a video entitled 8 Ways to Control Weeds Naturally. Just sit back and relax and listen carefully because after the video, you are going to answer questions and perform some ways of controlling weeds in front.
8 ways to get rid of weeds naturally. Pulling weeds one by one is usually the task gardeners hate most, but there are other ways to get rid of those pesky plants. Perhaps you're considering using a common weed killer, but those contain harmful chemicals that travel through the soil to other plants and can even stay in your soil for as long as a year. These synthetic chemicals are also dangerous to use around pets and kids. For those who don't want to use chemical weed killer, there are better and safer options to get your weed-free lawn and garden. Here are 8 ways to kill weeds naturally. First, make sure you're buying high-quality seeds. Check the label to make sure your grass seed has less than 2% of weed seeds like grassy or broadleaf weeds, crop seeds like corn or wheat, and inert matter like chaff or soil particles. Second, a natural weed killer can be found right in your kitchen: vinegar and dish soap. In a spray bottle, combine 2 parts white distilled vinegar, 1 part water, and a few drops of dish soap. Spray the solution on the weed in the morning of a dry, hot day. Be careful where you spray though, because this DIY solution will kill most plants it touches. Another weed killer found in your kitchen is salt. Mix 3 tablespoons of salt with just enough warm water to liquefy the solution. Salt kills weeds by causing dehydration, but it also makes the soil barren, so only use this weed killer in areas that you don't want any vegetation, like a stony path. Fourth, smother your weeds with mulch. Don't throw away the morning newspaper yet. Paper, leaves, straw, or even a black tarp are great materials to use to suffocate your weeds. Just make sure you put enough mulch on the weeds to block out any light. Fifth, give your weeds a scalding hot bath. This method works best for young weeds that aren't hardy enough to withstand boiling water. Next, crowd out any unwanted weeds by keeping your soil's pH level balanced and not mowing your grass too low. Growing a densely planted garden or lawn can repress any weeds that might not belong. Seventh, use corn gluten to keep weeds from ever popping up. This corn byproduct found in Concern Weed Prevention Plus prevents germination of seeds but doesn't have an effect on already established plants. Corn gluten also provides a healthy dose of nitrogen, which is a nutrient plants need to grow. Lastly, use Safer Brand's fast-acting weed and grass killer, which uses potassium salts from fatty acids to kill weeds within hours. Safer Brand's weed killer doesn't travel through the soil, so it won't injure nearby plants, and the solution breaks down to its natural state in less than a week. Don't let weeds get the better of you. Use these 8 natural solutions to prevent and get rid of weeds naturally.
Thank you for watching. I have prepared a question. So, first, name at least one way to control weeds, and you may also give your understanding on the method. Yes, Chikena. Yes, Clark. Yes, Josiah. Thank you. I know you learned a lot from our topic today. So let's have a group activity. With the same group, make a creative presentation on applying simple and safety weed control. As what you have seen on the video presentation. So, the mechanics is with the same group will perform according to the instruction given. Say, group leader will read and instruct to the members. Then each member of the group must participate by making the instruction complete. The group who will finish first will gain 5 points, and the second group will gain 4 points. The group will report their output to the class. Note that the activity is good for 1 minute only, and you will be evaluated according to the rubric. So, I have here a rubric. I am happy because all of you have participated in today's session. I would like to ask 3 students about their learnings gains from the discussion. May I call on Miss Jessica from the front left side corner? You may please stand and answer my question. What have you learned from our discussion? Very good. You may sit down, Jessica. Let me call Andro from the front right side corner. Kindly stand for a while and answer my question. What have you learned from the discussion? Very good. You may sit down, Andro. Let me call another one. May I call on Josiah from the middle of the last row? Please stand up and answer my question. What have you learned from the discussion? That's right. You may take your seat, Josiah. Do you have any questions? Clarification. Okay. Be initiative and curious in doing things because some with control are harmful to human beings. All right. I know you learned a lot from our topic. So let's have our activity. For our group activity, let me read your directions. With the same group, again, each group will be given a 2 letters, the letter T and letter F. Raise letter T if the statement is true and raise letter F if the statement is false. Number 1. All weeds are harmful. Number 2. Weeds are not host of insect pests. Number three, in, num- in order to control weeds successfully, it is important to know their nature, habit, and growth and their methods of natural reproduction. Number four, in cultivation, you don't only break the soil but also control the growth of the weed. Last, number five, cultivation aerates the soil. Okay, here are the answers. Number one, it is false. Number two, false. Number three, it is true. Number four, it is true. Number five is also true. Who got perfect? Okay, thank you for your participation. For your assignment, in a one-half crosswise, write five tools and five equipment used in the farm and post it next meeting. According to Dr. Jose Rizal, from Latin word consummatum est, meaning the end. That's all for this morning. See you next meeting. Class dismissed.